Indiana Hoosiers Live 69 presented by FanDuel, Brad. We're live on YouTube at least. I'm not sure what's going on with Twitter. They're having issues on the StreamYard side and on the Twitter side, I think. So we're fighting tooth and nail to get that done. But an eventful Tuesday, Brad, off the holiday weekend. So how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's unfortunate to hear about the streaming news, but we're just here to, create clips. If you're not able to meet us live, we got clips. Shit records for the, it saves on the YouTube, so you can check it out later. And hopefully people tune in after the fact, if you're not able to catch us live on YouTube. But yeah, feeling good. It's Tuesday coming on. It's almost March, so we got, obviously hoops is on a lot of people's minds right now as people don't really pay attention to winter workouts, but that's why we're here. We're going to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers football program and maybe talk a little hoops. I don't know what you got for me. I show up, and Keezer throws things at me and I react live, and that's how we do it here. If you've never been here before, if you're
we're live on Twitter, Brad.
I'm getting we're live. Oh, beautiful. Love to hear it.
We're a little jumbled in the intro, but we're working through the technical difficulties.
We're a very adaptable podcast. We rip on the fly. We're able to roll with the punches. What other cliche sayings are out there when it comes to that? You got nothing for me, Keys?
Sorry, I'm getting the good word out there for the people.
We're live.
Sweet. Send. Pin.
Bang. Bang. Oh, yeah, there I am. I see it.
All right, Brad.
I see it. I see myself on Twitter right now. It's Goomception, really.
No, this is good stuff. I don't know. You don't spend any time on Twitter, so I just want to kind of jump right into this.
True. I tweeted yesterday about Houston basketball.
Well, then, did you see what the big news, what kicked up a bunch of dust on Twitter today?
Can't say I did. Exactly. I did see we were on a list of a fan of ours made a list of top accounts they likes to follow, and we were on it. I saw that. That was
pretty cool. That was definitely not what I was talking about, though. There was Shannon Terry, who created On3, created 24/7, created Rivals, basically developed the modern infrastructure of how people cover high school recruiting. I don't know if they said they paid for it or what, but they got this company that has 18 followers on Twitter to put together who had the most impressions in the college football. I guess they called it college football or college basketball, reporter space, I think, or something like that. Or it was football only, but they threw Joe Tipton in there. And basically they ranked the top 20, who has the most engagement in the space. And what they didn't do was include anybody really outside of the On3 landscape. And so people threw a shit fit. So Will Compton posting his numbers, and Blutman was posting his numbers, and Brandon Walker's posting fuck you Shannon Terry and all this stuff, and Barstool Tate, and so the Barstool guys were upset because they didn't have the representation on the list, and so it was a really good piece of media during a time where there really wasn't much going on over the weekend. A lot of people were really upset. A lot of people interacting with On3 today.
Yeah, I did actually see that, and I was just wondering, where am I on that list? My impressions are super high. I tweet all the time. My Houston tweet got 2 likes yesterday, so I was like, where are my impressions? But yeah, I saw that. It was definitely interesting. I was a little thrown off when you were telling me how they're covering high school recruiting. Did they have any takes similar to mine about how it's going to shift more toward, it's going to be more focused on the portal, as that's going to be more relevant in terms of now, as opposed to high school recruiting, it matters, but it won't matter till 2 or 3 years from now. And I think people are maybe starting to finally catch on to that, where it's you have a few true freshmen here and there that can, pan out and play right away. But for the most part, as we saw, big reason why the Hoosiers won, veteran-filled rosters tend to find success. And That's a direct correlation to the portal and NIL and things like that. But yeah, I did see back to the impression talk. Yeah, I was just wondering where I was on that. But yeah, if you're on that list, would definitely join my committee as I throw my hat in every week for college football commissioner, and many of those people on the list would be on my in my circle, my C-suite, if you will.
You said something really interesting there that I didn't intend to take the conversation in this direction, but it's something that I do think about quite a bit. There has been a shift in the way recruiting's been covered. You've seen, what was it? On3 brought in rivals and basically made rivals their high school wing, and then On3 is the transfer portal wing. And so there has been a split in, okay, we need to put more attention on the transfer portal, dedicate a full-blown team to the transfer portal. But to your point, I don't think the rest of the college football landscape has embraced not only being older, but also like it's not necessarily about how good the majority or how good these sites think somebody is. It's how well does somebody fit into your football team, and that's what Indiana's been able to do really well. But no, the impressions thing was really funny, and I thought that what a power move by On3 to basically boost the profile of all of your guys, and also like drum up a whole bunch of conversation, and like we're talking about it. I'm like the Barstool guys spent the whole day talking about it, and everybody spent the whole day talking about On3. I thought it was brilliant.
Genius. They basically went out there and was just like, hey, we have like 53% of the impressions or whatever. Like that was Terry's main takeaway from the whole thing. So like honestly, genius marketing move by them. Everyone's been talking about them all day, which almost makes me not want to talk about them.
Well, it's just I
wanted to go back to the shift and the cool things that I talked about in terms of like, how On3 is the transfer portal wing and like direct correlation to, Indiana finding so much success through the portal and being able to win at the highest level, the pinnacle of what you can achieve in terms of a national championship, how they're able to do that. They recruited veterans, but the idea of I'm going to give this 5-star $8 million is just unwise. And I think people are starting to realize that, like, you can't give 18-year-olds millions of dollars. Like you just shouldn't do that. And if it's an 18-year-old that's entitled enough to think that they are deserving of millions of dollars without proving themselves in the next level, then I'd say that's a red flag right off the bat. Anyways, I mean, who's to say, who am I to, make those judgments? That's just how I would run it. And I believe that's how Indiana runs their program. I believe the freshmen get a stipend, if I'm not mistaken, but I feel like it's a set number and it's all spread evenly, and they might boost it up if you're a little of higher stature and they think you might play earlier than most true freshmen. But, at Indiana, the team that just most recently won the national title, very few kids that are, 1-2 years into college football are playing. And I think that is something that is of note. And I think people are starting to follow suit. And like we've been saying, even before they won the national title, Indiana is setting the standard of how roster construction is managed in the NIL transfer portal era.
I stumbled across the Indiana like nutrition page or whatever on Instagram, which is like set up in a really cool way, and it's definitely like athlete focused, and I'm not even sure if it's supposed to technically be a public page. It's public facing, but you know what I mean. It's like click here for recipes and stuff like that, which is really cool. But the guys were chefing up a whole bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of those like younger guys on the team. It was really cool. But moving on into the smoke, Brad, there's a lot of NFL pundits falling in love with the Hoosiers. Like we watch this football team all season. It's not like the guys that stood out to us all year, and now the guys that are starting to stand out to these NFL guys as they dive into the tape. Lance Zierlein, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I've been seeing him pop up on my feed because he's been talking about the guys. But he had a tweet about Riley Nowakowski last week saying that he's a better blocker than some of the offensive linemen in this draft, and it's not like talking down on some of these offensive linemen, but it's just a compliment to Nowakowski. We spent hours on this podcast talking about how important and how impactful he was, and we saw the way Indiana used him throughout the year. He also called Indiana's group of wide receivers catch bullies. I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
I like that term. It's so funny to me because we were like screaming from the mountaintops in the preseason about how Surratt was getting his flowers as he should be, but like no one was talking about Omar Cooper like they should have been. And we were already calling it out way before people were on it. It almost took people weren't even talking about him too much during the season. It really took the playoff run to really get attention on him, which is like so bizarre to learn about. I mean, kid had like 12 touchdowns this past year. And it's fun. It's really funny to be like, how it's funny to realize how little people pay attention to certain teams, especially when they're a little more under the. I mean, it's hard to like pay attention to. Obviously, we have the benefit of following the Hoosiers, so like obviously we don't have as much insight on other teams as maybe a lot of general college pundits do. But when you are put a microscope on the Hoosiers like we do, this idea that Surratt and Cooper aren't first 2-day guys like is it's asinine. It's fun to see people finally catch on to how talented Omar Cooper was. One of the few blue chip guys on the roster last year, like has been that high level of guy. Like that's anticipated. Like there's like roughly 300 4 or 5 stars blue chip guys in a cycle, which equates to about, those guys should get drafted between the 240 something picks that go on in the NFL draft every year. So obviously that, leaves room for other people. It's like, back to my point where it's like these stars don't matter. It all comes down to who 4 years or three or 4 years from the recruiting cycle, like who developed the most. Cause like that transformation from age 18 to 22 is physically probably the biggest transformation you're going to make. And this idea that we can evaluate that so early on is, yes, there's early bloomers, but it kind of works against guys. Like a lot of the early bloomers that have the most hype are the ones that are the biggest flops because everyone catches up to them physically. And are they as good of a football player as those guys that maybe had to scrap and claw as maybe not as physical 17, 18-year-olds as they were late bloomers? I think people understand what I'm saying here, right? It's funny to see people catch on. And I mean, it's very clear. Mendoza, Pons, Surratt, Cooper, those guys are all going to go top 50 from the buzz that we're seeing. And if they don't, it would be very surprising. And what's awesome, did we talk about the combine invites yet, or are we getting
we'll get there in a second. I wanted to highlight one of the biggest reasons for that development, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and that's Bryant Haines, who was honored with the Broyles Award. He was a finalist last year, and if you watch the ceremony, shout out to you, because it was quite a ceremony. Let me tell you. I want to first of all honor Bryant Haines. Full blown deserves this award. The Broyles Award is a massive deal. It obviously goes to the best assistant coach in the country. He would take all of the praise directed at him and give it to anybody else in the room, but that's a guy who full blown deserved this honor. Indiana's defense was unbelievable this year. Obviously, that also goes to the position coaches and the other guys in that room, but the head of the snake is Bryant Haines, and he deserved every bit of the award and the recognition that he got that went along with it. I had, as many people did, a lot of problems with the Broyles Award presentation and the fact that it took about 2.5 hours to get to Holly Rose sitting on the couch with the coaches, which was an awesome series where they had each coach talk about kind of their journey, and we got to meet those guys. And I thought that was really cool, and I came away like really liking all the finalists. But Bryant Haines finally wins the award, and they rush him off the stage because they took too long perusing the crowd and talking to Gus Malzahn and whatever Holly Rowe was doing in the middle of the ceremony. And like they were shooting back and forth between the stage. And it was just, I'm glad he won it. I'm incredibly frustrated that he didn't get to give a speech because he gets up there and he's like, I was told I have to keep this brief. So if he has a speech, I really would like that to be a Bison drop thing. Maybe I'm being selfish and he doesn't want to give the speech, and like, I don't know. But if he had one and he was like ready to deliver it, like a little bit frustrating. But the fact that he won the Broyles Award and he also took a shot at Corey Heatherman, which was absolutely hilarious. I don't know if you saw that either. But just
all in good fun.
Huh?
All in good fun.
Oh yeah. But did you see the Heatherman? Did you see the quote at Heatherman?
No, I didn't. So
Heatherman sat down on the couch first, and they're basically like, can you give us a story about Bryant Haines? And he was like, not that I can tell in front of a room full of people, but the guy refuses to fight me. He'll never fight me. It's always my back hurts. And so they get to Haines, and Holly Rowe is like, well, you're standing there and Signetti decides to go for it, and you're in your own territory. Like, so you know that if Indiana doesn't get it, like if you guys don't get the first down, like you're in a pretty bad spot for your defense. And he goes, it was our offense against Coach Heatherman, or a Coach Heatherman led defense. And he looks right at Corey Heatherman and he goes, and I felt great about it.
That was awesome. That's a great line. And from a great coach, a guy that has he was there at the finals last year, right? Same ceremony, didn't win it. Could have put a big argument for him, just considering the leap that the 2024 team took from the previous year. It was almost like he won it deservingly so. He was the best coordinator this past year, but it was almost like it's like from the past 2 years, like, you have been the best coordinator. Here's the undisputed award that you deserve. And man, he's going to be a hell of a head coach if he wants to, wherever it may be. Hopefully Indiana, 10 years from now, when Cignetti, I don't even know if Cignetti's ever going to retire, but when the time comes, he's going to make a great head coach if he wants to. But some guy, I say that with a little bit of hesitancy, because some guys are just meant to be coordinators, right? And that's not a knock on like how good of a coach you can be. It's just a completely different role. You're more of a CEO, GM in this world, and there's money to be made as coordinators. As Bryant Haines is making what, 2.3 mil. He's going to be two more 3 mil probably at this point, after all the incentives that he's probably hitting, especially after winning the Broyles Award.
No, I think his base is 3 mil, Brad.
Okay, love that. All right, well, he's sticking around.
He's not going anywhere, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good to have that guy locked in. A guy that signed up to be with Cignetti on an $8K salary, right? And worked his way up and is now the best assistant in college football. And he's on our campus and not going to go anywhere, because Sig's the one who took a chance on him. Why would he go anywhere? He has the best working relationship you can ask for. He has the best players he has all the players that he wants. He leaves, he's got to try to get those guys in the portal and try to tamper and do all this shit and get some of what he's built at Indiana to his new team or whatever. In theory, like, no, he doesn't want to do that. And on top of that, he's making 3 mil. Like, if you're getting paid 3 mil, your kids are going to college, life's good, you're happy. There's no real reason to leave. So to have that guy locked up on top of Cignetti, and like, what goes without saying, like, I don't want to steal a shine from Bryant Haines, but it's like, we have another great coordinator as well who's in the same boat, right? And the fact that we have both those guys locked in for the next 3 years at least, based on their contracts, we got a 3-year potential dynasty window to win as many championships as we can until more coaching staff turnover occurs. Potentially, we'll see.
Bryant Haines Broyles Award, Brad. What are we talking about?
Anyways, very deserving. They were the best defense all year. We were saying it. It was almost like I would call, like, Ohio State was right there. They were just as dominant. But like, when you look back, like, was Ohio State's schedule like that great? I would say Indiana's was a lot tougher. The defense still put up similar numbers and facing better offenses throughout the course of the year. When you talk about an Oregon, talk about a Penn State, talk about an Illinois, really good offenses they had to face throughout the year. They answered the bell consistently with, saw what they did, that Alabama team. Like, that's a good offense led by Kalen DeBoer, right? And they held them to no touchdowns. And they didn't give up multiple touchdowns in the game until the semifinal and the final. Besides Penn State, I mean, that's if you're going basically greater than 75% of the year without giving multiple touchdowns, it's probably a really good defensive unit. It's if you want to spell it out.
Yeah, I know. I think obviously they were really good on the field and we saw the results, but it's also like, you look at the way his players react to him. You look at the way the coaching staff reacts to coaching with him. And then even like the stuff that was coming out after from the Broyles Award account, where they like went to the horse races and he's holding up Gracie Bear and he's screaming at the horse to like, saying, come on, eight. Like, I can't wait to use that video next year. And it's just, that's the guy who deserves it. And like, you get what you earn in the coaching industry, and to have somebody who we looked at and like watched all year and are like, we know he's the best coach in the country. For him to get that recognition was really cool. So shout out to the Broyles Award ultimately.
Shout out. Well deserved, overdue. I mean, I remember getting hyped up about last year, being pretty disappointed that he didn't win. Obviously, who did win it last year? Was it
It was what's his name? Who's the
Golden? State,
Al
right?
Golden.
Oh, it was Al Golden. Yeah, I mean that defense was really good. They had some really good players though. Not saying that Indiana didn't, but yeah, very deserving. Hence why he's in the NFL. Like that's probably the biggest risk of Bryant Haines now is like which NFL team's going to come knocking. That's the only reason for him to leave.
I don't want. He's not going anywhere. If he was going to leave, he would have left. Like we're not having these conversations.
Well, he's under contract. That's all I'm saying. I'm talking too futuristic. We got to focus on.
That's what I'm saying. Let's keep it in the we'll keep it in the present. I want to actually, as I say that, I want to go back and I want to stat correct or like mini update because the roster update videos are still coming out on the channel and like it's funny. I'm looking at Josh Hoover's odds on FanDuel to win the Heisman. It's not that big of a deal, but he dropped from plus 1,000 to plus 1,100, which I thought was pretty funny.
Value.
I think that coincided with the fact that he was listed at like 6 foot 194 when we reviewed the rosters last week, and then on like Thursday or Friday he's back to like 6'2", which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, watching him on film, it didn't surprise me that he came out at 6 foot. I mean, he's definitely like an undersized quarterback. He's not as tall as Mendoza, basically. Is what I'm saying by undersized, right? Put it in quotes.
I think it's irrelevant. I just thought that was
undersized in air quotes.
I just wanted to point that out as they did update it on the website. And then obviously the other thing that people were freaking out about was Tyler Cherry. And Tyler Cherry is now officially on the roster, back wearing number 15.
6'5", 220, former 4-star, one of the highest recruited guys, one of the highest graded freshman players to step on Bloomington's campus is back. We'll be battling for the QB2 spot with Grant Wilson and Jacob Bell, and that's it. And
throw Maverick Gesky in there too, Brad.
He's on the roster. He is the QB5.
He's on the roster. He's got a shot.
He's a PWO, and everyone gets a free shot. Yes. But he is actually 6 foot 190, Maverick Gesky, much similar to the original. It's almost like they mixed up Maverick Gesky's measurables with Josh Hoover's. It was the exact same height and weight, by the way. Noted.
Let's talk about the NFL Combine, Brad, because it is a historic combine for the Indiana Hoosiers. There were 9 guys invited to the Combine. That's the most the Indiana Hoosiers have ever had. There were some glaring omissions as well. No Kalon Black, which was very frustrating given the fact that he was at the Senior Bowl, although probably not the worst thing for him to get healthy. No Mikal Kamara, may have been even more frustrating, although you could also say the same was like we were out there for the UCLA game when Mikal got hurt and he's dealing with the shoulder injuries, and that wasn't something that just gets better the more you run into people, right? And they didn't really – they had that nice break between the Big Ten championship and the playoff, but guys like Kalon and Mikal, like they weren't really ever able to get healthy. You kind of just play through it. And so while it's personally frustrating, and no Devon Boykin either, who had, according to PFF, but also just like according to the eye test, like had an unbelievable year and very clearly, at least to this podcast, I thought showed that he could play at the next level. A little surprised that those 3 guys didn't get invites, but a historic combine for the Hoosiers nonetheless, Brad. Fernando Mendoza, Roman Hemby, Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, Riley Nowakowski, Pat Coogan, Aiden Fisher, Lewis Moore, and D'Angelo Pons, all going to the Combine. Your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, it is what it is, right? It's the Combine. You don't have to get invited to the Combine to get drafted, and just because you get invited to the Combine doesn't mean you get drafted. There's about 300-something invites. There's only 250 picks. Yeah, it doesn't mean you can't get drafted. What I'm concerned about, though, is, like, to your point, like, even though Mikal Kamara has the injuries, right, and that might be why he didn't get it. He seems like the most frustrating one, to where it's like that's the guy who's led the Big Ten in pressures the past, not just over 2 years, but the past 2 years over Abdul Carter, and then following the next year. Yes, the sack numbers were low, still led the conference in pressures, didn't get a Combine invite. Whether that was due to injury, who knows? He'll get his opportunity at Pro Day, and I think that's the most important thing that people forget is that every school has a Pro Day. And those are just as heavily weighted as a Combine. Combine is –
I'm glad you said that, especially Indiana's Pro Day.
Just for show. the combine is almost just for show. It's kind of the show pony, like, oh, we're going to televise some of these guys and do some draft coverage and get people tuned into NFL Network and do all these things. And one of the more valuable things, though, about the combine isn't necessarily the drills. I'd say that's probably the least important part. The biggest thing when it comes to the combine and why Fernando's going and not throwing is because the interviews. The interviews are actually the most important part of the combine process. They give you, one-on-one time with teams that are interested in you. And, you'll have that opportunity on pro days and things like that. But, not having, Devon Boykin and Kalen Black and Mikhail Kamara, and I'll throw Steven Daly and Kellen White, because I feel like those are also guys like this team, with those 5 guys missing, this team could have up to 14 guys drafted, which is crazy to think about. Those guys don't have opportunities to, have interview time with teams, which is pretty frustrating. That's probably the most important thing. It's not so much seeing them on the field. There's plenty of tape out there. There's plenty of they'll have their pro day opportunities, Wyatt and Daly excluded, but with their injuries. Yeah, it's frustrating, but it'll be fun to, like I said, it's all for show, and it'll be fun to see 9 Hoosiers there. I think that's more my take on it. It's like we get to see 9 Hoosiers. We're going to see, Fisher do some drop backs and cone drills. We'll see Pons and Lou Moore get his shot too. And you're going to see, I think Coop and Surratt are probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Really looking forward to see what they run at the combine. And hopefully Hemby has a really good time. He might have a crazy time, by the way. Hemby might run 4.4 and rise up pretty quickly. It's like a kick return, because he has that kick return potential too, especially with the new kickoff rules. I think he brings a lot to the game. Obviously, Mendoza not throwing, but will be interviewing with teams. Will he wow a team enough to trade up to the Raiders, a Raiders team that probably could use more draft capital to build up that roster, especially when you hear Kyler Murray is probably going to be available, right? And it just leaves a lot of unknowns, right? And Mendoza having that opportunity to not just interview with the Raiders, but also interview with other teams that might be willing to trade up for him will be super exciting. I think watching Surratt and Cooper not so much do the catch and drills, they won't drop anything, but just seeing how they run. Coogan get his time in the shine, being able to kind of just see him next to other O-line, because that's a big dude. He's 6. He is NFL O-line body. He might be a little old, but he is O-line NFL body. He's ready now for the NFL, which is really exciting. He'll make a roster. Excited to see where he lands. Nowakowski being able to see, I think for him, being on the field is probably the most valuable, because you'll be able to see him side by side with some other top prospects that aren't Indiana Hoosiers. And I think seeing that comparison, people will be able to see how athletic he is, how just versatile he is as an athlete now, which probably wasn't the case 2 years ago for him. I think he's put in a lot of work, and he's gotten there. Excited to see how he runs as well. 40 times are very important, as much as they are. They just are. Like, they are important. They're not the end-all, be-all for me, but for these NFL teams, they are. You want corners that run 4.3. So, seeing if Pons is able to get to that number, seeing if Lou Moore is able to get to that number, seeing where Fisher measures out, I think will be really important, from the public eye. Obviously, he'll have his pro day as well, so he'll have 2 shots at it. But I'm curious to see where Fisher lines up. Because that dude runs a 4.5. Man, he's going to rise up quick. So a lot of opportunity to be had. Unfortunately, we have 5 guys that we already mentioned that won't have that opportunity. But, pro day is going to be coming up, and Mendoza is going to be throwing at all of them. And EJ is going to get his shot at the pro day as well. He was never going to be, just considering his role as wide receiver 4, just wasn't on the table for him to go to the combine. He could get drafted. I'm not ruling drafting out, but it's highly unlikely just considering his role. I have no doubt that once he gets on a 90-man, he can make a name for himself for sure. He's such a talented player. So, just so many guys to look at. It's so fun being able to just be a fan of this team and see all of it, right? These guys are representing my university and kind of setting the stage for what's going to be an NFL feeder for the next, 8+ years, right? And it's just exciting to see these guys get their opportunity. Selfishly, from an Indiana perspective, doing well for the brand, but also unselfishly for their own future in a sport that they all love and want to continue playing and have a shot to make some money doing it. The opportunity to make money playing a child game is comes very rarely, and 15 guys from this championship team have a chance to do that. 9 of them got invited to Indianapolis, only an hour drive from their weight room in college. So
none of them are still in Bloomington, though.
I know. They're all home, but you know what I mean. I'm sure they'll be back in Bloomington for probably a brief hiatus before they head up there for some last minute training potentially. I'm not sure. Not sure how they're going to do it.
We will see for sure. I do know that for Pons specifically, you can follow. He's doing a path to the draft through Beyond. I think it's Beyond Reality is the name of the YouTube channel. But if you go to any of D'Lo's socials, you can go check that out. I really enjoyed the fact that like you're getting to see what his process looks like, but also the fact that he's not like he's said full blown he's not giving a prediction on any time. So what you think D'Angelo Pons is going to run, or what you think he's going to do in the shuttle, or what you think he's going to like how high his vert is going to be. And he spoke with Rhett Lewis, I think it was today or yesterday on Sirius XM, and they were talking about like his vert might be in the like up around like 40, and like the 3-cone or the shuttle might be really good. And, but you're gonna have to tune into the combine to see. Definitely check out
that. Do you remember when they leaked the vertical measurements when they first got here? He tested like 41, 42. Like crazy number.
That was a true sophomore, Brad.
Yeah. Think about that. He's a freak, man. He's a freak. The draft. See how these guys. I'm excited because these guys probably have, much like they were most of the year, the opportunity to raise some eyebrows because they're probably still being doubted. Like especially like a Fisher is being doubted. Like they have really big opportunities to raise some eyebrows, and just excited for them. Surratt's definitely probably working on his 40 pretty heavily, I'd imagine. He's not a speedster, I'll tell you that, but he's a damn good football player, and I think regardless of what he runs, people are going to recognize that. And I'm just excited to see it. When is the combine?
March. I meant to go find the date and I did. I think it's March 1st, but it's like I want to hold off on doing like the not NFL comps for these guys, but like NFL landing spots until we get a little bit closer. But it's just like so frustratingly so. Surratt seems like a Patriot. It just drives me insane.
Yeah. It seems like it would be a good fit. I mean, there's a ton of teams.
He'd be perfect anywhere. That's the thing. It's like have a receiver who's always open and doesn't drop footballs. Name me an NFL team that doesn't need that. Like Riley Nowakowski, like gonna do all the dirty work, like unbelievable teammate, sneaky athletic, like not sneaky athletic, like is athletic, like you know what I mean? It's like damn good football player. You look at these guys are good football players. Like this isn't rocket science. Sometimes it is just that easy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see these guys. I'm gonna tune in for their on-field workouts for sure, just because I'm excited. It's not gonna be anything I haven't seen before. Probably not gonna be too surprised by anything, but I'm just excited to kind of just see them get their shine in the light and get some publicity on them. And does Dion still cover the combine? I remember those days where Prime would be on it, right? And he'd be on and covering all these guys. I wonder if they're gonna bring him on. I wonder if they still do that.
I don't think he still covers the combine, Brad. I got to be honest.
Damn, those were the days.
Yeah, definitely check out those guys. And D'Angelo Pons path to the draft. Follow along. Brad, we got some coaching staff, I guess, promotions. We also got MOUs from Tino Sinceri's contract and Tyson Brown's contract. So some really interesting information there. Rod Ojong, Coach Ojong, is now officially the defensive pass game coordinator / defensive backs coach. Bob Bosted is now officially the run game coordinator as well as the offensive line coach. And then from the Michael Nizolik article about the Tino and Tyson Brown MOUs, the rest of the staff, meaning like everyone that's not Haines, Shanahan, Tino, and Tyson Brown, they're getting taken care of in the next couple of weeks. So we'll see some new contracts for those guys as well.
Can't wait. We got money in the bank. we got bands on bands. Bands will make her dance. Bands will make coaches dance. Bands will make players dance. We got it all. So Yeah, just stay tuned. I'm excited to see all those guys get paid as they should.
We got a really cool update, Brad. If you are deep into Indiana, or not even deep, if you're on Indiana football Twitter, if you're a fan of this show, you might remember we had brought up a story of Blake and his girlfriend Riley. Riley was diagnosed with a rare form of spinal cancer, and he was looking like he was trying to get a message from Fernando Mendoza to raise some spirits and raise some awareness. We got an update about that last week, and they got a message from Fernando Mendoza, and it was a really beautiful video, and it was it's a tearjerker, and it's on Blake's Twitter. I retweeted it on the timeline, and take some time if you can go check out the GoFundMe, check that out. Yeah, shout out to Fernando Mendoza for just being an A+ human being, and really cool to see the internet work in positive ways sometimes.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Are we surprised? No. Fernando being Fernando, that's why he's going 1 overall on top of how good of a damn good football player he is. So, yeah, good for him. Glad social media, the IU Twitter made it happen. It's good stuff.
Yeah, the power of Twitter and the power of Indiana Twitter in particular, and the Indiana fan base is it's a special thing, Brad. from something special to special in a different way, Brad. The 21 Savage jerseys, Jacob Savage's 21 jersey, is now available from Indiana NIL store. A lot of people on the timeline were upset because it wasn't the actual Adidas on-field jersey or whatever, but the Indiana NIL store, that part of those proceeds go directly to Jacob Savage. If you want to support NIL for all the athletes, definitely go check out the Indiana NIL store, and those jerseys are awesome to buy. So if you want a 21 Savage jersey, go get one. You can go get jerseys for all the guys.
I don't want this to overshadow how damn good of a football player Jacob Savage is going to be. Kid showed up 230 to spring as a true freshman. Kid's going to be really good.
He's still getting high school recognition. I saw something that Kentucky is still honoring the kid with high school awards.
He's getting all the awards in Kentucky, it seems like. So
it's if the part of what makes NIL so cool is that if you can market yourself, and if you can make money while playing a sport in college, and so it's obvious that he's doing the things he needs to do because you pointed out the weight that he's already listed on the website. So yeah, if you can,
probably not going to play that much too, and he's going to make a good amount of money, kind of riding pine. To be honest, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be good to teach their own.
Dude, that's what it's all about. Another guy, Brad, we didn't mention when it came to the draft was Jonathan Brady, who officially declared he'll get an opportunity at Pro Day. And I'm really glad you brought that up because I was kind of a little bit more annoyed about the guys getting snubbed from the combine. And then thinking about the fact that Mendoza's not even throwing at the combine, he's throwing at Pro Day. It's going to bring even more scouts, hypothetically, to what should be a loaded Pro Day.
All 32 will be there.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was getting at. And so it's obviously, you want those guys to get the recognition, but the fact that there are going to be 32 NFL scouts or 32 teams represented at Indiana's Pro Day it's nice.
Something that probably has never happened before, but will continue to happen for probably as long as Cignetti's there in some capacity, which will likely be for the next 20 years. So buckle up, Hoosiers.
Mike Kadick, I thought, gave an unbelievable scouting report on Fernando Mendoza, if you saw that.
I did not see it, but
he's basically like when the cameras are off, everybody has this different idea of the guy, but he's one of the guys, he hangs out, he brings the locker room together, and it confirmed a lot of the things that Indiana fans who watched the way this team gelled understood is he's doing one thing in the media and being the front facing CEO of your franchise, whatever you want to call that media role, right? But he's exactly media trained, and he's one of the guys. He's not just some dude sitting in the corner weirding out all his teammates, right? He's one of the he's QB1 for a reason. The guy's going to be the number 1 overall pick. It's not an accident. He was schmoozing everybody up and down Radio Row at the Super Bowl. He's like that. He is an assassin. Do not get it twisted.
Yeah. Kid's a stud.
He's a stud.
Kid's a stud. Period.
I want to shout out Jared Kelly, who has had an unbelievable year writing about the Indiana Hoosiers, but wrote an awesome article about Byron Baldwin Jr., which everyone should check out. I thought he did a really great job of telling the story of Baldwin's initial belief in the program and kind of where he's at now and his standing as a prospect, and capturing the fact that, he went through the injury stuff and went into the redshirt story. And it was an unbelievable read. And it reminded me of the articles that I wrote about Byron Baldwin Jr. back in 2024, talking about his interview with Inside the Hashes and the way he talked about Hollywood Bell back then, and just the type of prospect and the type of person it seemed like we were bringing into the program. And to feel validated about that take when the kid hasn't even really made an impact on the field yet speaks volumes about the character of Baldwin. And again, like, there are these kids that I just like, this guy's going to make it a positive impact on this football team, and he's a damn good football player, and he's going to be on the football field. And that Jared Kelly article is definitely another example of he's going to play.
Yeah, we talk about all like how special these kids are and all these intangibles, and we're worried about like how are they going to replace that? And then we always forget, like, what does Cignetti always say about when they're evaluating? Do they got the right stuff? Also, ankle width. But, that's do they have ankle width and do they got the right stuff? That's what Cignetti looks at, damn near. It's that was a joke. But, yeah, do they have the right stuff? A lot of these kids do. And I think that is why we're so confident in how this team is going to respond and find an edge when they are going to be the hunted next year and continue to be a dominant force in the college football landscape.
Absolutely. And then I've been, in some way, shape, or form, I've been playing around with some way to like put the Indiana football writers in a tier list, and like S tier for sure, Jared Kelly, Daniel Flick, Michael Nizolik. Osterman is like trending back and forth because he picked Alabama. But it's like, and then I'd have to like really sit down and think about the rest of the media and like who's like would be considered media. And then it got too hard. But those three or four guys in particular, but Jared Kelly and Daniel Flick have just been throwing fastballs for what seems like 4 months. Those dudes are going nuts. But shout out to those guys. Thank you, Grass Cutter.
Grass Cutter. There we go.
The NFL obviously sent out a tweet or put out a highlight reel about Fernando Mendoza. It just kind of brought me back to his, I think it was TikTok from the other day, where he was like, you'll have an opportunity in your 20s to attend Indiana University. It's important that you do, or whatever the tweet was. And just the in your 20s is sticking with me, Brad. And so it's like, we're going to have really good high school recruiting classes, obviously, but it's the transfer portal classes where we can really make a huge impact. And it's something that's been just lingering with me in your 20s.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're going to continue to supplant. Like, we have this great core of young guys, and the reality is that, they're just, no matter what, like, they're going to bring in older guys. And but these young core guys that have been in the program longer than these older guys that come in, and they're also very talented, these younger guys, they have an opportunity to beat them out. And that's the sign of a really strong program. And, the fact that you're able to get Becker kind of break in, and Landino and Roe Hardy, like those, that's just the beginning. That's just the start.
Pons was played as a true sophomore, true junior. Amari Farrell played true freshman, sophomore, junior, right? Like Carter Smith started as a true freshman. As much as we talk about the experience that they bring into the program, like a lot of the best players on the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers were underclassmen, which speaks volumes to the scouting and development.
We're bringing back more returning starters this year than we did last year. Think about that.
I know, I saw that today, which is like, I thought back to like the way we were counting returning starters last year. Because if you started in the portal, or if you started at your old school, like I know you were counting them as starters last year, which is like our whole argument for going into the season of like the Illinois, the next Indiana was so dumb. It's like, look at the starters are coming back, but it's like, let's look at whatever. We don't have to rehash that conversation.
Yeah, I also counted 12 returning starters, not 10. So, because I'm counting Ajani, I'm counting because he started in the Rose Bowl. Like
he started in the national championship.
You started a playoff game, and you're coming back. You're a returning starter.
Started the national championship game.
Exactly. To my point. There we go.
Yeah, it's a scary hours, Brad. We got an exciting add to the coaching staff. It was something that we had speculated, that we had talked about when we had last spoken about Bryson Bonds. But Bryson Bonds has officially hung up the cleats hung up the jersey. He is now officially on the coaching staff. He is joined as an assistant special teams coach or special teams assistant. So shout out to Bryson Bonds. He was a guy who was around. The guys love him. Like made it a point to be around more than he needed to be this year. And yeah, just a really important piece to keep around the program. And just like Justice Ellison, you take a really good culture guy from your football team and you add him to your coaching staff.
Yeah, as a special teams quality control, that's what it'll be called. I mean, just I love Sig, this idea of giving his guys a shot to where they can be assistants. As you know, it's only inevitable as people are always going to want a little piece of the Indiana Hoosier coaching pie, the coaching tree, and they'll take it in any way they can. We already saw some quality control guys take position coaches at other schools, and that's always going to be a thing year in and year out. It's going to be tougher to get our position guys. We can always go after underneath the position guys. Those guys are still under the coaching umbrella, can bring some new stuff, and coaches across the country are recognizing that and are going to give those guys some shots. So for Signet to continue paying it forward, Justice Ellison, now Bryson Bonds, like it's only going to continue with all these guys they have coming in. The issue is that we probably won't see it as much because all the guys that we have playing are going to be playing on Sundays rather than rather than coaching right off the bat. So then once they're done with the NFL, they'll be right back on the coaching staff. So like Elijah Surratt, 2040, receivers coach, can't wait for it, you know? Like so excited.
NFL Hall of Famer Elijah Surratt as the receivers coach.
Yes.
Oh, be like,
can't wait.
Be incredible. We've got a new Bison drop this week, Brad. Hoosier the Bison Fathead, I believe, is the social drop. So somebody will have to beat me out for that. I've been concocting something. It'll be on the timeline at some point this week. But Hoosier the Bison Fathead is elite. I don't know if anybody is like still in on the Fathead game, but I've been thinking about Fatheads a lot recently. And I don't think I'd put it up in here, but it'd be like a future thing.
Yeah, I've never had a fathead, but my buddy did. He had an LT fathead. I always thought that was the coolest thing.
My younger brother had JJ.
Like, damn, LT's in the room. Like crazy.
Sorry to all the Colts fans. Dane Brugler's a Riley Nowakowski guy. He tweeted today that a couple other things for Bison drop. Darren DeVries signed ball is up there. There's a vintage candy striped sports coat as well, and a patch from the national championship. Shout out to Bison drop. Dane Brugler is a Riley Nowakowski fan. He said he was going to die on the Riley Nowakowski as an elite day 3 pick hill. So welcome to the hill, Dane. The weather's beautiful year round. It's nice it's funny when you see people try and like gatekeep takes or gatekeep prospects or like gatekeep fan bases. It's like, no, like, yeah, you should love Riley Nowakowski when you turn on the tape. Like that makes a whole bunch of sense to me. Like, come on over to the light. Like, yeah, we'll be Riley Nowakowski enjoyers over here. Like there's room for all of us.
Yeah, he can block and he can catch out of the backfield. That's all you need from a fullback in the modern NFL. You don't see there's no more all-star getting fullback dive. Like you'll get a fullback dive every once in a while, but you're not giving all-star like how all-star was getting like 10 carries a game at the fullback spot. That's just not happening anymore. So like, yes, we saw Nowakowski take a fullback dive, but like that's really all you need from a ball carrying perspective. And he can catch out of the backfield, strong hands, can really block. Super athletic, has the perfect fullback NFL build at 6'1", 240. And, yeah, I don't see how anyone can miss that, really. Like, you know, if team wins the national – I've always said this, like even before Indiana won the Natty, right? It's like the team wins the national title. You should probably look at all those players that played a lot on that championship team. Probably going to be really good pros. And it's a common theme. Like, think about all those Iowa State teams. Like, those Iowa State teams far exceeded – what resources they had, like pre-NIL, and like go figure. David Montgomery's playing, Brock Purdy's playing, Breece Hall's playing a ton.
Is this a Penn State wins over? Is this a Penn State wins over pitch?
No. This is just an Iowa State, like back in the glory days of Iowa State. I'm just using them as an example because it's like those teams overachieved what they should have done in terms of like a roster. Okay, why did they do that? Because they had an NFL running back and an NFL quarterback, NFL receiver. Like that's how it happens, right? But now, you know, obviously in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, the Michigan guys that win the Natty, like they're all playing in the NFL, doing really well. The Ohio State guys that win the Natty, they're all playing, doing well. Same thing for these Indiana guys. It's going to be the same exact thing. And just don't want any of these scouts to get brain, really, you know?
I do know. I think this is a good way to transition into Josh Pate's ranking of it's a 3 years rolling program ranking, where he took an aggregate of the last thing he gave. What were the reasons? He said on-field results, talent acquisition, resource pool, organizational stability and structure, and slight look to future. And so Ohio State was 1, Georgia was 2, Indiana was 3. Which listen, if you're going to take the last year of Coach Allen, like it is what it is. But the funniest thing to come out of that was Jed Fish quote tweeted it because Washington's not on the list, and he said, "Got it." And then 24 hours later, fired his offensive coordinator.
Where's the stability? You know,
what are we talking about? I thought that was insane. But yeah, that threw a lot of people for a loop. It upset the Notre Dame fans that it was Oregon 4, Texas 5, Notre Dame 6, Alabama 7, Miami 8, A&M 9, Michigan 10, Texas Tech 11, Tennessee 12.
Notre Dame fans are just coping right now. Like,
dude, they
don't know how to act.
They're still in my mentions right
national title, and they know it. Deep down in their hearts, they know they've never won a national title in the modern era, and it makes them sick that Indiana did it before them. And they are just so upset about it. And they'll go back and claim their pre-1950 national titles. They've only won 2 since then, and they've never won a national title game. It was decided by a poll.
It was decided by a poll until
1998. Yeah. So everything before 1998, I'm standing on business here. Everything before 1998 doesn't count.
Well, Brett, and this is what I was saying to the Notre Dame fans today, is if it wasn't handed to them, if they had to compete for it on the field, they've lost or they've run from it. But when it was anointed from a poll where people voted based on perception, like, yeah, of course Notre Dame cleaned up on all of those. That's a shocker.
If you wanted to prove you deserve to be in the playoff, go win the Pop-Tart Bowl by 20. Go do it. You know, that's how you prove it. You don't just opt out. You don't just run away. That's just me.
It's unbelievable stuff. I love it so much. We got Fernando Mendoza.
Can you imagine Cignetti like being like, no, we're not going to play in the bowl game. Mostly not even from like I want to compete. Like Cignetti's like, oh, we get like free practices. Like, let's go. Like, let's do it. Like, we're going to the bowl game. Like, we get the free practices. Like, that's the whole.
What are we even talking
about? The reward of going to the bowl game. That's what people forget. Like these coaches, like you don't go to the bowl game, you don't get the free practices from the NCAA. You're able to go over your practice limit.
You get to see what your freshmen you have on your roster and how guys have developed, and some younger guys can play, and you get an opportunity for your fan base to travel and for people to get together and to create a moment. And there's no interest in
that. We're too good for it. You know, yeah. I think that's posh.
I think there are going to be long extending consequences to lose the legacy of that 2025 Notre Dame team is now going to be they lost to the 2 playoff teams they played and then took their ball and went home. They essentially quit. And so that is going to have a negative effect, some sort of negative effect, whether it's a short-term one on recruiting or a long-term one where, like, if your reputation becomes like, we don't want anything unless it's handed to us, it's a tough way to be perceived by the rest of the country. And that's the way a lot of people outside of South Bend look at Notre Dame right now.
And I'll play devil's advocate again. Love doing this. Good news for them. They're Notre Dame. They got the brand. People grow up dreaming of playing for Notre Dame. So they'll continue to get the talent.
But if you don't, Brad, here's the
thing. Work against them. To your point,
every year we get a lot farther away from 1988, and there's people who were born in 2000, right? And the kids who are 18 right now are born in 2006, 2007. 2008, somewhere around there, right?
Team and
they're born 30 years after the Notre Dame national championship.
All they know is Manti Te'o and maybe Brady Quinn, and Jeremiah Love. That's it. Like that's all they know. Like from Notre Dame football, like you're racing against time here, Irish. racing time here.
It's all right. They're going 16-0 and winning it all next year, Brad, according to their entire fan base. So it's
they're going undefeated. Well, yeah. Have you seen that schedule? I think they're going undefeated. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they better go undefeated, or else they might not make the playoff.
Well, they're going to need CJ Carter to do what Fernando Mendoza just did. Fernando Mendoza accepted the Davey O'Brien Award, which adds to the long list of recognition that he got this season. It's cool to see Fernando in a suit talking about the Hoosiers, but it's kind of crazy that I guess they just had the ceremony for it. What February 16th, February 17th? Kind of crazy.
It's a pretty prestigious award. It's probably considered besides the Maxwell and the Heisman, it's probably the biggest quarterback award. So kind of stands by itself in a way. Yeah, good for him to clean up house on all the quarterback awards this year. I believe actually he didn't clean up house. I believe Pavia won the Unitas. He won, or the Manning. He won one of the awards.
Definitely not the Manning. And then real quick, while you're looking that up, there was a hilarious NFL comp for Omar Cooper Jr. today. If I told you Omar Cooper Jr. was comped to a former Giants receiver, which one would you say it was?
Omar Cooper? Well, I saw the comp today. So I know who you're gonna say. But if I were to like actually strictly New York Giants receivers comp Omar Cooper, I'm calculating. It would be Steve Smith.
Oh my God, dude!
Or it would be. I think. Yeah, he's not Manningham. Maybe Hakeem Nicks. Maybe.
No, he's not big.
The more I would go Steve Smith.
Steve Smith's a good one.
I like Steve Smith. He was very similar to like watching him at USC, obviously all the time. Dwayne Jarrett's like your Elijah Surratt, and then you had your Steve Smith, you threw Omar Cooper. It's kind of like the same, like those two very, very similar receiver duos there. Yeah, but I think Victor Cruz not a bad one either. I don't know if Coop has the straight line speed that Cruz does, but might be
he's bigger too.
Maybe a better and stronger athlete though overall.
Yeah. But Kadarius Toney was the comp that some random person came up with for Omar Cooper Jr. And it's just how on earth and what planet is that the comp? It's crazy.
People don't like. I've seen like I'm in a group chat too. It goes my fantasy football group chat back home. You know, all the boys I grew up with, like big football heads like me. I gave them my Debo Omar Cooper comp, and one guy's like, he plays nothing like him. I'm like, did you watch Omar Cooper for 4 years like I did? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean he plays nothing like him? Like, they're yak gods, like breaking tackles, making plays after the catch, like doing things in no space, like scoring touchdowns, like that. I see Debo. Like, sorry, like maybe you could disagree with me, but you just can't say he plays nothing like him. That's crazy. It's
funny because me and you have been having this argument but going back and forth for like 2 months, and I see Ayuk.
Ayuk is he's a freak, man. And Cooper's like, he's more of a good football player than a freak in my mind. If that makes sense.
I know, but was Ayuk a freak because he was playing in the Big 12 or the Pac-12? Sorry, the Pac-12. Like, I feel like they're going to run similar.
He's 6'3" and runs a 4.3.
No, they're the same. No, he's not 6'3". They're the same size. And you ran 4.5.
Maybe. I mean, Ayuk.
He was clocked. I think he was clocked at like 0.8 miles per hour faster.
Okay, it's not a bad one. Now that I know Ayuk's he is 6 foot. I looked it up. But he looks 6'3" to me.
But you watch Ayuk's college highlights, and I understand what you're saying, where it's like it looked like he was like the senior playing with freshmen, like it was like high school senior playing with freshmen, like he was destroying those dudes in college. But also he's kind
of dogging him.
Ayuk's draft capital was what, 27 or 24? Like Coop's right in that range.
Yeah, I agree. I can
see. We're talking about two
enough buzz to sneak into that first round. And I love.
And I'll tell you what, he's not. Between the ears, he's light years ahead of Brandon Ayuk. So.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I mean, he had to go through 2 years of Tom Allen. Like, you don't think that kid has some perspective? on things, like, yeah, he probably does. On life, and what it's like to like go 5-12 in the NFL. Like, he can handle that better than a lot of the guys coming into the draft.
This is true. Then I want to, I guess, end the smoke, lead into the last kind of what I want to talk about here is Indiana Athletics finally released what their like operating income was. They're operating at a $10.4 million, or they operated at a $10.4 million surplus for 2025, which is in modern college athletics utterly ridiculous. The fact that they made money is insane.
That's almost better than winning the Natty.
Well, I mean, I think that's directly attributed to winning the national championship. Is when your football team is good, like you can make money, and it's not impossible to make money as an athletics program in 2025. But when you look at some of these scary numbers that were coming out from like Penn State and FSU, and I can't remember who it was. I think Tennessee may have been another one where it was like these $400-500 million deficits. Texas being another one. It's really, really impressive stuff from Scott Dolson and the rest of the department that they ended up plus money essentially on the year. And it leads me into people have been speculating left and right about upgrades to Memorial Stadium. And I wanted to throw a couple of different things at you, but that's what operating at a surplus as an athletic department allows you to do is you can then take that money and reinvest it into the program. Like, look at what a lot of these programs were doing, losing money. They were still spending it left and right. Like, Indiana has money. That's a very, very impressive thing.
100%. Yeah, I saw the AI generation of 100K Memorial Stadium. I think that's a bit much. I think like a 72 would be pretty realistic and would get the job done in terms of what we're looking to accomplish. I think we were at the Memorial, right, and we were talking just filling it out. Just making it go around. Just make it unison at the top, almost like the Rose Bowl. Obviously, very biased in that take, but just filling it out and making both sides even. I think people know what I'm talking about. Like, I believe the press box side's a little taller than the other side.
Well, I think we needed they need a new press box, and I think that Signetti even acknowledged, I think last offseason, that like the press box is coming down before he leaves. Like, he's tearing the thing down. He's tearing the thing down. So
he's gonna tear it down himself. He's gonna the dynamite. He's gonna put the
stay away from the dynamite, coach. That's not what we need right now.
Yeah, no.
But no, I'm very confident that's going to happen. But no, I think you're right. But I think when it comes to expansion, I think a lot of people point to Indiana's turnout at the Rose Bowl. They point to Indiana's turnout at the Peach Bowl, and they're like, look at all the people that go to Indiana football games. Like, we could have that in Bloomington. I think in theory, yes. I think what you have to look at, what Respectable Adam was pointing out in the timeline, is that when you look at Indiana's crowd performance, I'll call it, during the non-conference games, even last year, it left a lot to be desired. And so it would be like expansion, I think is an interesting way to look at it, because I think when you start talking about premium seating, I think Indiana definitely needs to expand that. And I think that is probably where you see most of the money go first. But I think in terms of like Wi-Fi connection and like being able to communicate with people outside of the stadium when you're inside the stadium and like post videos and things like that, that's a huge one that people want. Seat backs for people that aren't students, another huge one. So I don't know if it's necessarily like we need to expand Memorial, because like that's a really loud place to play when you pack it with 90 to 95% Hoosiers. We saw it during the Illinois game. You see Autzen Stadium out in Oregon is a really hard place to play, and that's under 60,000 capacity. So you don't necessarily need to have like all of these seats, but I do think that it needs some upgrades. And I think that the one that makes me the most uncomfortable isn't even an upgrade to Memorial Stadium, but it's the fact that like it's hard to find a hotel or a place to stay in Bloomington, and it's expensive to rent some of these Airbnbs. And it's a supply and demand thing at the end of the day. Like, there just isn't enough places to stay. I don't want to say comfortably, because like you can accommodate, and like we were looking at like campsites and left and right, but if you made it easier for people to and cheaper for people to come in for a weekend, then I think you can do whatever you want to Memorial Stadium. You could just churn people in and out. But then you start talking about really changing the landscape of Bloomington, and that becomes an uncomfortable conversation. So it's tricky. But I think premium seating for sure is something that we're going to see upgraded. And and then game day activations. Like they're just going to do more to get people, like with people in the stadium. It is something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on.
I think you made a ton of good points. Honestly, I echo everything you just said. I think priority needs to go to upgrading just the game day atmosphere, the seat backs, the Wi-Fi, just overall like getting to Bloomington. Like not every Hoosier fan lives in Indy, and lives in Bloomington. Like that's just largest living fan, but it can't happen. It just that's just not the reality. And people want to go. Right, and you made a good point with the non-con. Like we haven't filled that out yet, so like doesn't make sense to expand yet until we're selling out every single game. I think the priority now, with that in mind, goes to the seat backs, the Wi-Fi, the press box. I think those will be the first projects done, and then once that's done, then we could talk about building up a little bit. But this is going to be like a 10-year plus conversation around.
I actually think it'll happen quicker than that.
Making money. It's this conversation is never going to stop, and yeah.
Well, I don't think you need to expand. But here's where I landed, Brad. Is I don't think you need to expand Memorial Stadium. I think if demand dictates that you need to expand, right, where you have a line of season ticket holders and you have the long wait list, and it's like, okay, like maybe we really need to add some seats here. But I think just like upgrading the stadium and modernizing the press box and modernizing the premium seating and just making the little things that much nicer, because like they have the money to do so as a program, and then it makes that, like we're talking about, the game day atmosphere that much better. So it's really, really exciting. And it's like this is what you get to do when you're a successful program, is you get to reinvest in the program, and really excited to see what that looks like.
100%. I'm with you.
You got any closing thoughts, Brad?
That's the show? Oh my goodness. Closing thoughts.
Yeah, is it? Well, it was just two things. Well, I'm going to cut you off real quick too. It's like Indiana basketball played once. They played Illinois. It pretty much went exactly how you thought it was going to go.
It went better than I thought, actually. I was very impressed with how DeVries kept that within 30.
And I'm not like, I'm like, we play a fun brand of basketball. Like this team, if like we talked about, if they were going to shoot 55%, like they were going to have a shot to go into Illinois. And you look at Illinois' roster, and I'm texting everybody I know going like, I can't believe Illinois has 4 pros and nobody talks about this. And everybody responded back to me, we should have 5.
That's what I said. That's when you used my text.
You weren't the only one to say that to me. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that back like 2 or 3 times.
Nice. It's not a them problem. It's an us problem. We throw the money out there, it'll happen. DeVries is the guy. It'll make it work. Illinois was even more evidence for me that he was the guy. I think, like I've told you, like the top 5 between, and we're in like that top 40, like the gap is so much wider than what it was just 3 years ago, let alone like 10 years ago. And the fact we were able to keep it that close, and Illinois wasn't even shooting it that well, right? Like that game could have been a lot worse, let me tell you. And they didn't even have Andreas Stojakovic. Like that Illinois team, like as right now, like I have Michigan and Illinois in my final. I think this is the year that Big Ten breaks through. I think this expansion of the Big Ten finally pays off from a basketball standpoint. Having this brutal schedule, I think it's gonna pay off in this year, I believe so wholeheartedly. I think we have 5 teams that can make I think we have 5 teams in the Sweet 16. I think it's gonna be one of those great years in the Big Ten in terms of tournament showing. I cannot wait to watch. Indiana is in line to make the tournament as long as they go 500, or they gotta go 3-2 from here on out. Win the games they're supposed to, lose the games they should take care of itself. Should get a 10 or 11 seed. Exciting. If they win more, they'll rise up. Obviously field dependent. Super, proud of this team. I think they fight really hard. They're coached really hard, and they give a lot of effort, which I think this program has been missing, unfortunately. Maybe certain coach pundits would disagree with me on that, but the effort level that I see game in and game out is where I expect it to be. It's where I see other programs play. People hate when I do this. I love watching Houston play. I do. I know Kelvin Sampson did terrible things with this program. That is the way he runs Houston is exactly how I would be so proud if Indiana ran it the same way.
Well, like
all guys running sub-6.
Why do you think he was
Maybe
here?
not keeping it off the field, keeping it on the court. Every guy running sub-6 miles, like everyone playing super hard on defense. You got scores enough to get the job done. Like that's how you win college basketball games right now. And
I tell you what, Brad, there's some people in Indiana's athletic department at that time that felt the same way, and I think that's why they brought him in.
Yeah, I agree. And but yeah, back to Indiana basketball, right? Like, I think they're in a good spot. They have a guy that they can invest in. I think we'd feel comfortable putting money into this roster after watching this season. The fact that he was able to take probably, if we're gonna go like refer to some sort of star composite score, this is probably very similar to this Indiana football Hoosiers, like very low on the composite, probably the least talented team stars wise they've had in 10 years, right? And yet they're the first team in 13 years to have 17 wins mid-February, right? Like they're doing things we haven't seen in a very long time, and they're not even
I'm
close
glad
to
you
what
brought
they
that
could
up.
be. Like there are so many holes in this team. Like I was thinking about it the other day. Give this team TJD. Like what are they? Like they're probably a 4 seed, right? Like at least. You just insert TJD, like a big like of that level for this particular team. Like they're a completely different ball club.
I believe in one of the, I think the Woodson tournament year, it was like what, 22 or 23, one of those 2 years. We had 17 wins by February 10th. Like the stat wasn't exactly accurate. I think there was a year in there where we did
that. Makes sense.
That
team also had Miller Kopp, NBA player, Trey Galloway, D-League player, Jalen Schifino, first-round pick, TJD, NBA vet, loaded with talent. You look back.
No, you're absolutely right.
In reality, you look back at that type of talent, and I've been following ball for a lot of years. Probably should have gone farther in the tournament with that level of talent. All I'm saying.
I don't want to reopen old wounds, but I do want to go back to something you said about. I do want to go back to something you said.
I didn't say any names.
I do want to go back to something you said about having confidence in DeVries and being able to put money behind the program, because who is the one big money guy that they added to this roster, like in the transfer portal, was Lamar Wilkerson. Was like the big fish, like spend a bunch of money, go get this guy. He has to be good. Lo and behold, the dude absolutely nailed it.
Crushed it. Hit it out of the park. Great player. He's what's made this season so fun to watch, has really been him. Many guys have been somewhat disappointing. I think Reed Baylor's put in a tough spot. I think Tatum Carnaway didn't quite make the transition. Well, very surprising, like Sun Belt Player of the Year, didn't quite make the transition to the Big Ten that we thought. I think injuries have a big reason to do with that. Just hasn't really been able to find his flow, which is pretty frustrating. But yet, this team is in position to make the tournament. And we've seen some emergences of some guys, which we haven't seen in a long time, where like a guy that maybe started the season lower of role and has been able to kind of come into his own and rise and improve throughout the season, and Nick Dorn, something we haven't seen on an Indiana basketball team in a long time, where a guy made so much progress in season.
You might get some pushback and some ebbs and flows there, but I'm with you.
Maybe like an Anthony Leal, but like even then, like Anthony Leal wasn't dropping 24 on teams, right? Like, we haven't seen that type of development in season. In my time of watching Indiana basketball, I can't think of someone. I really can't. Someone could remind me maybe, but Nick Dorn's the one that sticks out the most. Maybe that's recency bias, but there's a lot of good signs from this Indiana team. They share the ball. They play hard on defense. That's really like that's all you need for me. like
the one that sticks out the most
is sets would expand if you have better personnel, where you don't have to just run sets for DeVries and Wilkerson all game and get them threes, right? I think they can get a little more creative with different personnel. We saw it earlier in the year when they were playing lower competition, and it seemed to go away when they played higher level competition, where it's like we kind of have to just set up DeVries, Dorn, and Wilkerson for threes. It's kind of how we're going to try to win this game with our lack of rebounding. It's just how it's had to go. And I think they've done a great job as a coaching staff and as a team playing together and keeping bought in and not, and staying the course and ignoring the social media stuff and just doing a really good job. And I think DeVries has had a fantastic year one, probably the best year one we've had at Indiana. And I mean, a better year than Tom Crean, better year than Archie, better year than Woody, like year one. Like I'm Calvin Sampson, like that's year one since Calvin Sampson. I don't know.
I think I go back to the one like big, I guess, coaching adjustment that I keep like wanting to give Woodson credit for is just putting the ball in Galloway's hands more as that season went on. But it's like it's all mute points. Like, what are we even talking about? It's
yeah, exactly.
It's like I don't even really want to talk about it. But no, I'm with you. It's like I'm really, really excited about where Indiana basketball is. It's like when you look at the current landscape of college basketball, are they going to win the national championship this year? Most likely no. You know what I mean?
They could. They can make a miracle run.
They definitely could. I think they're like plus 20,000 or plus 50,000 or something crazy like that. But you look at the micro of what they're doing game to game, and they're running plays and they're shooting threes, and it looks like a modern college offense, and it looks like exciting to play for. And yeah, there are a lot of positives to take away from this Indiana basketball season. So I'm definitely completely with you on the future of the program.
100%. And I guess going back to, I guess we could wrap up basketball. Back to closing thoughts. I saw a tweet from some Ohio State fans where they were going through their position groups and whether they improved, stayed the same, or went down high level, like no more in depth than that, what they think Ohio State does. And I kind of wanted to do that for Indiana real quick, and it could change for me. But just running through quarterback, down arrow, running back, same, receiver, same.
I don't think you can. I think if you want to be super critical about it, based on returning production, you can't say that the running back room is the same.
In this argument of, I agree with you in the sense where we had 3 leading rushers from FBS teams on the roster. This year we only have 2 because Kobe Martin's RB3. And he's never had that shot. So in that sense, could be down arrow, but for the most part, stay the same. Receiver, the same. O-line, up arrow. D-line, up arrow. Linebacker, same.
No, you can't say it's the same. We didn't add to the room.
But you have to take into account Ro Hardy got better, Utzinger got better, Caden Turner got better. Like if anything for me, it's an up arrow. But I'm going to keep it the same out of respect for Aiden Fisher. DB room, same. And that's pretty good if you're defending national champs where you have basically one down arrow, one up arrow, and everything's kind of the same. Like we were the number 1 team in the country. Like looks to be the same going into this year. So great signs ahead. Oh, special teams, up arrow. Anyways, but yes, Indiana should be poised to be a contender once again.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I'm going to go closing thought in a completely different direction, Brad. I think yesterday or this week or over the weekend was the last day to officially report for spring training. Baseball is in the air. I want to shout out former Hoosier Matt Lloyd, who's popped up at Red Sox camp this week. So super pumped to see that as a Sox fan myself. So shout out to Matt Lloyd. It's I don't know if we'll do like a weekly baseball thing. Maybe we'll do like a monthly check-in or something like that. But like obviously you're a huge Dodgers fan. You're coming off a World Series. You guys just spent even more money, brought in Kyle Tucker. I'm a Red Sox fan.
And the best closer in the world.
It was a less fun offseason, but I'm actually really excited about where the team ended up. And I think we're going to be better than people think, which is famous last words. And I think we're heading into, I know we're heading into a lockout in 2027. And it looks like it's about to be one of the more vicious, like union versus league battles we've seen in a really long time. And the owners seem steadfast on wanting a salary cap, and the players seem steadfast on putting their feet in the ground as they should. And So
supporting the Dodgers cause. We're saving baseball. We're pro player. Sorry.
the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. It's these other cheap owners that don't want to spend money.
I've been saying this for years.
And it's also like, sue these guys for wanting to go live in LA and play on an elite baseball team. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's really not that hard.
They need to get paid that much. The taxes are crazy over there. You know what I mean? Like they don't make as much as you think.
But like I'm as a baseball junkie and somebody who like I have a bat sitting next to me, like my gloves sleep next to me. Like I still like every time I drive past a baseball field, it just like it becomes nostalgic. It's like I'm really, really gonna enjoy the 2026 season because I'm not sure we're gonna get baseball next year. So I'm pumped to have it back. I'm pumped for the World Baseball Classic, which is starting really soon. Guys are just starting to go off to that. And yeah, it's spring's in the air, Brad. I'm not sure I agreed with Puxatani Phil and his assessment that winter is coming because spring ball's here, man. We're here. And spring trike, the Hoosiers are in winter workouts. We'll start spring ball next month, and this thing just keeps on churning, baby.
Yeah. And quick Hoosier baseball update: they're 1-3 after getting swept by a good UNC ball club. Had game 3 won. Bad throw to first by the second baseman.
I'm glad you said that. I'm sorry to cut you off here, Brian. I do want to cut you off here though because I grew up playing the sport, and obviously I didn't play in college. I went to Indiana, and I wasn't good enough to play at Indiana, or else obviously I would have fucking played at Indiana. But like I played enough baseball and had enough catches to understand that the yips are a very real thing. And while I've never done something like that in like an organized game, I have like had the yips and having catch with like people we know, and like being 10 feet away from somebody and not being able to hit them in the chest. It's an awful feeling. My heart goes out to the kid, and a brutal way to lose a baseball game. And that's not the type of that's not indicative of the type of baseball player that he is, and you hope to see him bounce back.
Couldn't agree more. Good news for him. It's a long baseball season. You know, you got 60 games, and you just got to run through the schedule, right? And we're just going to learn from that. Better to do that now than in the Big Ten tournament or in the NCAA tournament because this team has potential to be successful in both tournaments. So the next game, we got number 2 LSU. So good luck, guys. See you in a week.
Good luck, guys. But if you were able to go to the BART tonight, it was free admission at the BART, which is awesome.
Yeah. Shout out the BART. Love the BART.
Yeah. That's what I got for this week, Brad.
That's all I got. We got any Winter Olympians going on, or
hockey? I think is a thing. The thing that's driving me nuts about hockey is like I get all of my news really through Twitter, and so it's like when I'm scrolling the timeline and like I see highlights, I'm like, oh, like that's on, or like this is on. You can't. There are no hockey highlights on the timeline. It's just like the teams posting like NBA paint and shit like that. So it's I don't know. But I'm sure the hockey's great. The snowboarding's kind of come and gone, I think. I don't know. I've been kind of checking.
I mean, they just got a blizzard, so they're in delay right now. But I think main takeaway: Sakamoto final tonight. I gave that pick earlier last week. Was even money on FanDuel. We're gonna lock in later. USA Hockey men's looks really good right now. Obviously, we got to deal with the team that has McDavid, Bedard, and Sidney Crosby, and try to be those guys. But you know, ball scene miracle. USA Hockey is a very proud team, and it's all about just playing as a unit, right? And that's what it's always been about. And I think we can get the job done. They've been playing really well lately. So yeah, go Team USA, go USA Hockey. We'll check back in with you in a week.
Yes, we will. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Indiana at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Check us out. If you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on the Sigs Inside Twitter account, hop on over to YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, obviously all that good stuff. Videos are dropping weekly. Check us out on Twitter. Follow me at Alec Keyser. Follow Brad at Bradley_Loomis8. I'm tweeting all the time. Brad is the uptick in tweeting from Brad has been he's been blowing up the timeline left and right. So you might want to mute him if you get the chance. But check out the Voice of College Football at the VOCFB on Twitter. Check out at Indiana VOCFB on Twitter. Check us out on all the socials, all that good stuff. Check us out where you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. Leave us a review. We have a 5-star review, and it's like I don't remember the name of these guys, but they have a good show. It's like it's always funny to me. But no, I appreciate the love, and yeah, it's a path to the draft and road to the combine and all that good stuff, and things are happening weekly here in Indiana. for the Indiana Hoosiers football team, and we'll be covering it, Brad.
We got it covered. Bang. Let's go.
Like I said last week, we're fast approaching a full year at the Voice of College Football. I believe our first show was beginning of March last year. So yeah, we'll do something special for the anniversary show probably, and then I've been throwing around some ideas, so I'll get with Brad over this week, and maybe we'll do something exciting next week. I don't know, but I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Shout out to the boys, Wave, Nick Skrill, and Signar. The intro song 1621. The outro song is The Sweet Sound of Butter Symphony. We will see you guys next week.
Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.